If you're a future lady lawyer, there's an exciting step I'm guessing you haven't taken yet. What is it? Figuring out the type of badass lady lawyer you should be. How do you do that? Well, let us tell you.
A longtime friend of the podcast and kick-ass new lawyer coach, Angela Vorpahl, has put together a free What Type of Lawyer Should I Be quiz. This is a 90-second quiz designed to reveal the type of law that will best fit your interests, career goals, and lifestyle. Can I get a yes, please? So don't wait another second. Go to whattypeoflawyerquiz.com to take the first step towards your dream future lawyering life. And then make sure and send us a DM on Instagram to let us know what type of lawyer you got. We can't wait to nerd out over it with you.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Ladies Who Law podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Haley.
And this week we have Katie Esquivel. She is a lawyer who deals with PACA, which, if you guys don't know what that is, it has to do with the produce industry in the United States. And she goes into it. We're obviously not the experts. We'll let her explain it to you guys. But we found that this was a super interesting podcast episode, and we learned so much.
Yes. So let's dive in.
Please help me welcome our guest, Katie Esquivel. Hi, Katie. How are you?
Hi, Sam. Hi, Haley. How are you? Pleasure to be here.
We are doing so great. We're so happy to have you on the podcast. So to start off, can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Katie Esquivel. I'm based in Naples, Florida, and I'm a solo practitioner. I have a paralegal and a legal assistant, and we practice basically federal law. We work with produce growers and suppliers under a statute called PACA, which governs the sale of fresh produce in the country. And I also work with transportation companies, brokers. Every time you see a tractor trailer on the highway, those are the kinds of companies that I work with, the ones that hire them, the carriers who actually make the delivery, and the ones who arrange for shipment of the products. So it's a unique area of law, and I really love getting to learn how our food gets to our table, how it's grown, and how it makes its way across the country to where it needs to go.
Very cool. So let's go back to the very beginning. Tell us where you went to law school, when you decided that you wanted to go to law school, and what that experience was like.
So I was an English major in undergrad, and I thought I wanted to be a teacher. And I have a minor in secondary education. And around my senior year of college, I realized that I had amazing, amazing teachers in middle school, high school. I had wonderful educators. And I realized that I really did not like teaching. I didn't like kids. I wanted to teach high school or middle school English. And that age group was not an age group that I really felt that I would be happy being surrounded by 5 days a week. And just, it wasn't my jam. And with an English degree, I figured, well, I can waitress, I can go to law school, let's roll the dice. I remember calling my parents saying, what do you think about me going to law school? And they were like, well, if you can get in someplace, good luck, because I was not a stellar student. And I immediately signed up for one of those classes where they teach you how to take the LSAT. And I applied to a bunch of schools, and I got accepted to maybe 3 low-tier law schools, frankly. And I picked the one that gave me scholarship money. And I ended up attending St. Thomas University in Miami. And it was a great experience for me. The class sizes were small. I met lifelong friends there. And in my experience, unless you plan on working at a really prestigious, humongous law firm, where you go to law school really doesn't matter. Nobody has ever asked me in the 24 years that I've been practicing law, no one has ever thrown shade at me because of where I went to law school.
Yeah.
So while you were in law school, like what kinds of internships did you have, or did you have any idea of like what you wanted to do post law school?
I thought I wanted to do elder law and work with, do estate planning type of work. So I focused my classes on those types of classes. And again, I realized I really didn't like it. And I found that everything I thought I should be doing in law school, when I did that, it didn't work well for me. So, for example, the first semester of law school, I did not go out once. I came from Gainesville, Florida, where I did my undergrad, to Miami, of all places. And I didn't go out. I spent every weekend reading. I had no social life. And at the end of the semester, I got all C's. And I was so disappointed. I was so discouraged. I was so angry. And the next semester, I said, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to have a good time and make friends and go out. And I ended up making the dean's list.
Wow.
So I found that the more I challenged myself and the less time I gave myself to get the same amount of work done, I think I got more efficient at getting it done and doing it. That was my, first year of law school was definitely a learning experience. And then by my third year of law school, I'm dating myself, but the show Ally McBeal had just come out, and it was on Monday nights, and I had a sales class that was from 6 to 9 on Monday nights, and I would peace out at the break so I could go home and watch Ally McBeal. And literally, I was never prepared for class. I did none of the reading. It got to the point where when the professor would call on me, there'd be a ripple of laughter throughout the room because I had no idea what the answer was. But for the final, I spent 3 days in the library and I got the book award for that class. So, it just, you do what works for you.
Yeah.
I love to hear that because we always say like everyone's journey is so different and how people learn is so different. And clearly you found out what worked for you. So it worked out.
It worked out. And I also, when I was in law school, I didn't do any internships. I ended up doing secretarial work during the summers for a small law firm that was just getting started. The two partners were under the age of 30. So I answered phones, I typed, I filed, I did proofreading. And that led to my first job out of law school. I was hired by that firm. So it was a great experience because I felt like I had I'd worn a lot of hats within a law firm when I first got started, which I think was a benefit.
So at that law firm, what kind of law did they practice?
We'll be right back.
Hey guys, we want to take a moment to talk about something that has been a game changer for us busy lawyers, Audible.
Yes, Audible has been our go-to platform for incredible audiobooks, offering an extensive library of thrillers, nonfiction, autobiographies, and mysteries.
And guess what? We've got a special treat for you. Audible is offering a free trial to our listeners, and all you need to do is check the link in the show notes. It's the perfect opportunity to experience the magic of audiobooks without spending a dime.
Speaking of thrillers, I know you are currently hooked on Never Lie by Frida McFadden. Samantha, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. The twists and turns in Never Lie have kept me on the edge of my seat during the workday and even when I'm on my daily walks. It's like having a suspenseful companion wherever I go.
And for those looking for some financial wisdom, I have been engrossed in My Money, My Way by Kamuku Love. It's packed with practical advice on managing finances, perfect for anyone trying to navigate the complexities of money management.
What we love most is the flexibility Audible offers. As lawyers, our schedules can be unpredictable, but with Audible, we can enjoy our favorite books on the go, whether we're stuck in traffic, hitting the gym, or waiting for a court hearing.
So, if you're ready to embark on a literary journey and discover the joys of audiobooks, click the link in the show notes to start your free trial with Audible. Trust us, you won't want to miss out on this fantastic offer.
They did everything that walked in the door with the exception of family law and criminal law. So personal injury, business litigation, land litigation. It was all litigation and all civil work. And it was great experience. But I found after a couple of years that it was really difficult turning off litigation mode in my personal life because every single day I was in a deposition, I was going to a hearing, I was arguing with people all day long. And I found that in my personal life, it did not make me a really great person to be around because all I wanted to do was argue and be cranky because that's what I did. And the culture at that firm was one where there was a very much a scorched earth approach when dealing with opposing counsel. And with the benefit of hindsight, I don't know that that was a good fit for me. And that's not really how I practice now. I just think that life is too short. And unless someone gives you a reason to take that approach, I always start out far more cordial than the way I was kind of taught to early in my career.
I think that that's a good thing. I mean, as a baby lawyer, I have seen many different types of opposing counsel so far. And, you attract more with honey than you do with vinegar. So we're just going to leave it at that, right?
Absolutely. Every single time. Well, not every single time, but most of the time.
Most of the time. So let's talk about what you did after you left the law firm, and you're your own firm owner now.
Yes.
So can you walk us through that transition and
Sure.
what were those steps from there?
Sure. So, like I said, I'm in Naples, Florida, and I moved here right after law school. I had a job here. My parents are here. And my plan at that time, Naples was primarily retirees. There was nothing going on past 9 p.m. And my plan was if I'm 30 and single, I'm moving to Chicago. So a year after I took the Florida bar, I took the Illinois bar with the plan of moving to Chicago. And in 2001, I believe, I had a great group of friends in Naples. I didn't want to leave, but I wanted to do a different type of law. I needed a different environment. The firm I was at had changed and grown, and it was no longer a good fit for me. And I answered an ad in the Florida Bar News for a firm that did a very narrow area of law. It was all federal work. I answered the job ad and was hired by a firm that only represents fruit and vegetable growers and sellers. And I had the great opportunity of working there for 12 years. I became a member of the firm, and it gave me the opportunity to not only master federal practice, but also the chance to practice in federal courts all over the country, and to also learn a niche area of law. And it was a much, much better fit for me, because federal practice, you're not arguing motions day after day. You're writing motions. And sometimes you'll have a hearing, sometimes you won't. So I've found that when I had hearings, when I have depositions, it's not that I'm doing them every single day. So they're really enjoyable for me. And most of the time, it's an opportunity to travel, less so since COVID. But I also had the chance to work with clients all over the country, which was a really neat experience and a fun change where I was able to use the skills that I had gained doing pretty, heavy, high stakes litigation into a federal practice where the stakes are still high, but I think the caliber of practice is just a little bit more polished in federal court as opposed to state court. And that's something I've really enjoyed. So I worked there for 12 years. When my son was born, I realized that it was no longer going to be a workable environment for me. When I became a parent, I realized that I needed flexibility if I wanted to work from home. And this was in 2013. So this was well before COVID. And if I wanted to work from home, get work done at 10 p.m. on a Friday, I wanted the flexibility to do that. And it was within a month of coming back from maternity leave that I realized that this wasn't going to work. So, and in hindsight, I don't know. I was either very brave or very stupid, but I took our savings, quit my job on a Friday. They did not want my 2 weeks notice. And on Monday, Esquivel Law was open for business. And that's what I've been doing for 11 years. In November will be 11 years. So that's been a great journey. And it's given me the flexibility of continuing to do the same type of work that I had learned, but also to expand into related industries that service and are connected to the produce industry.
So when you started your new firm on your own, were you able to bring clients with you from your last firm, or were you starting from complete scratch?
It was a little of each. So in Florida, the bar requires a joint letter to be sent out from the previous firm and the attorney. And my previous employer insisted on waiting about 2.5 to 3 weeks before sending that letter. He was not happy that I left and saw that as a declaration of war, so to speak. And so I was fortunate that I had a handful of clients that came with me. And I also had enough clients that through word of mouth and them talking with other people in the industry, I was able to generate more clients. And until very recently, I've really done no advertising. And I feel like that is a testament that, word of mouth and doing good work and having great relationships with my clients is good enough to sustain my business.
Absolutely. I feel like marketing and advertising is something that no one thinks about until they're later on in their career, or how important it is really as an attorney. But that's great to hear. So tell us about PACA. And, I know you said a little bit about your clients being, transportation of produce and produce people. Is that really prevalent in Florida? And you said you work with clients nationwide. So tell us about how you work with clients that might be in other places.
So the produce industry is fascinating. And for me, it's been really, really interesting to learn all of the people that are involved in getting fruits and vegetables from a grove, an orchard, a farm to our place or our grocery stores. And so what Congress did in the early 30s is they enacted a law called the Perishable Agricultural Commodities Act. PACA is the acronym. And basically what the law says is that if you sell me produce and I don't pay you for it, I am holding, once I receive your produce, I'm holding it in trust for you. And when I sell it, that money I'm holding in trust for you as the seller, the grower. And any assets that I commingle it with are automatically PACA trust assets. And so it's legislation designed to provide a lot of safeguards to farmers and growers of produce and distributors. And practically speaking, what it means is that this body of law allows an unpaid seller of produce to not only file suit in federal court to recover their money, but it also allows the plaintiff in those cases very frequently to obtain an ex parte injunction freezing the assets of the buyer. And many times, I may start with a demand letter and they tell me where to go. But once they learn that their bank accounts have all been frozen and they can't do anything without a conversation with me or another order from a judge, the cases tend to take on a different tenor. And oftentimes we're able to resolve them relatively quickly to get the clients paid.
Nice. Okay, very cool.
Yes.
So is it quite common for buyers to not be paying the seller in this industry? Is that, why this body of law came to be, or?
It is, or what would happen is that buyers would give their banks, say, a security interest in all of their assets. And so this legislation was designed to make sure it creates a trustee beneficiary relationship instead of just a buyer-seller relationship. So once that buyer gets that produce, they're now a trustee, and the beneficiary of that trust is the seller who sold them that produce. So it creates many more legal obligations than simply a purchase and sale relationship.
Learning so much today. Thank you so much.
I know, right?
Yeah. So will you tell us what like an average day looks like as an attorney doing this kind of work? Do you have to go into federal court and get injunction signed, or like what are you doing?
Well, pre-COVID, we would walk them through, literally, take it to the courthouse and wait for a judge to sign it and do that. Post-COVID, we just e-file it and wait. But an ordinary day right now is the summer, so it's a little bit more relaxed. Okay. But during the school year, I get up about an hour before my family does. I try to work out, kind of, get myself in a good mental frame of mind to attack the day.
Yeah.
I leave the house when my son and my husband leave the house to go to school and work, and try and front load my day so that I'm out of the office usually by 4 is my goal, so that the evenings can be family time and not work time. There's always exceptions, obviously, given the nature of the beast of the practice of law. But I've found that as my son gets older, I feel like it's much more important to be taking advantage of that evening time to have family time. Yeah. So I don't check my emails. I let opposing attorneys know, if you email me after, say, 4 or 5 o'clock, you're not going to get an answer until the next day. Those are my boundaries. And I have felt much better and had a much lower stress level since setting those parameters with people that are outside of my firm. Many don't like it, but I feel like they respect me because of those boundaries.
Yeah, and it's all about enforcing them us not answering those emails, which I know can be so hard sometimes. I know I'm experiencing that and learning that every day. It seems like, opposing counsel, clients, everybody will email you at the most random hours of the day, right?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And there's nothing more stressful than sitting in bed, either before you go to bed or when you wake up, and you open up your emails and there's something that sends your stress level through the roof. It's just I'm a much happier person saving that moment of panic until I'm at my office and properly caffeinated.
Totally fair.
So, at what point after opening up your firm did you decide that you needed extra help, like a legal assistant and a paralegal?
We'll be right back.
I'm Dan Heath. On the What It's Like to Be podcast, I ask folks about their jobs, like what keeps a TV meteorologist up at night.
When I'm at work and there's a tornado coming into town, my husband and my kids have to get into the tornado shelter without me.
What keeps a welder driven?
I never am satisfied. I always know I can do better.
And what keeps a hairstylist on her toes?
I know she likes that Holly Berry haircut, but she doesn't look like Holly Berry.
Find out on What It's Like to Be, wherever you get your podcasts.
It wasn't until I really was in a position where I was forced to do it. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018. And because I was going through chemotherapy and radiation and surgeries, I realized that I can't answer the phones. I couldn't do it all. And so the attorney who I was renting office space from at the time, we decided that we would share an assistant, and that proved to be really invaluable to keep everything going when I was having off days or, recovering from things. It was wonderful to have that extra help. And it really made me realize that I needed that help a long time before I actually did it.
Do you have any plans on hiring more staff, or are you content with what, your systems that you've got going now?
I definitely plan on hiring more attorneys. Right now I have a paralegal who is a law school graduate, and she's amazing. And then I have a legal assistant who is actually a licensed attorney in Mexico. And because my clients are all over the country, we were using Zoom long before COVID. We were doing phone conferences, working collaboratively with people all over the country, using technology for well before COVID. Yeah. And so my paralegal is actually in Pennsylvania. My legal assistant is in Mexico, and we use technology and work together seamlessly. I've found that not having people being limited to 20 miles around where my office is has given me the chance to have really great people who we all work together amazingly well. And I feel so incredibly fortunate. I always joke that my paralegal was the best online date that I've ever had, I found her through Indeed, and she's just been amazing. So I feel really fortunate to have a great team and not be limited by geography.
So do you think because you guys adopted technology quite a little earlier than a lot of firms did, that COVID was an easy transition for you guys, or did you have struggles as well?
Without a doubt. It was COVID. What the hardest part about COVID for us was really childcare and kids making it through school.
Yeah.
Because we service the food industry, we weren't subject to the stay-at-home mandates. We could work from the office, and it was business as usual, really, in many regards, for us. So it was no big deal. And it's actually, COVID in a way has made my life easier because now everyone has adopted this level of technology and video conferencing, and this is the new normal, and it's really nice to have it be far more widespread than it was a few years ago.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how we're doing our recording right now. So
Exactly.
it's great. So we want to know, back when you first started practicing, back when you were working at the law firm before you had your son, what were some of the things you learned as a young associate, and maybe some of the things you would tell yourself back then that you wish you knew?
I wish that I had told myself to fake it until you make it. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room to walk in with your head high and to feel confident and to not feel like an imposter. And by the same token, I would also, being confident is great, and presenting yourself with confidence, but also recognizing that there's always things that you don't know, and there's always room to learn more, and there's always opportunities to learn, even from opposing attorneys, even from co-counsel or, attorneys for other parties in cases. I've found, I've become great friends and had a mentor really for over 20 years from an attorney who I hired as local counsel in Ohio in a case. And I had to go up for a hearing, and we became great friends, and we've been friends for 20 some years. Yeah. And now he has an of counsel relationship with my firm. And there's always room to learn, but don't doubt yourself. Go in, you've prepared, you've done what you need to do. You have every right to be there and to stand tall and be as confident as a lawyer with 10 years more experience than you do.
That's great advice.
We really believe in the fake it till you make it. As new attorneys, we're, I think having to remind ourselves a lot to be confident but not cocky either,
yes,
there's a good balance.
That's exactly it. And you guys are so lucky because my stepson is finishing his second year of law school. And so when he asks me things about, when you were in law school, and I'm like, when I was in law school, it was the dark ages. We did legal research in books. It was not the same. You guys have the benefit of technology, which is amazing. Yeah. And it gives you so much more of an advantage than those of us who graduated, before the emailing was a thing. I mean, it was very new in the 90s. So you have the benefit of all this technology, which is amazing.
So if there's someone listening and they're really interested in the specific niche that is PACA, what would you recommend? What can they do? Do you recommend certain internships? Should they go clerk at a federal court? What do they need to do to get in that space?
What I would do is learn everything you can about farming and supply chain and the industry. I don't know if you've heard, they say, it's kind of a crass phrase, but they say the riches are in the niches of, niche areas of law. And while, yes, it is financially rewarding, but you also immerse yourself in a specific lane. And it's a lane that I really like. I don't have clients who are stuck up, demanding. They're very salt of the earth, normal people that I really enjoy working with and talking to. And I can talk to them like normal human beings, not like talking to, I don't know, say the CEO of a bank or, a high-end real estate construction project, or, they're very salt of the earth types of people. And I really like that. I value that. But to answer your question, I would say call me. I'll tell you all about it, probably more than anyone would want to know. There's all kinds of online resources with the USDA has a ton of online resources about PACA, what it means for people in the industry. And there's also publications. I have on my desk, I have the produce news on my desk. I have the Blue Book, which is a produce credit reporting agency. They have a magazine that comes out once a month. I have Inbound Logistics on my desk to read about, current trends in the trucking industry. So there's all kinds of paper and online resources to read about all these things to really just learn about the industry. I find the more I learn about the day-to-day problems that my clients have, the better I'm able to serve them and the better I'm able to help them navigate those problems. We go to law school, we don't learn all this stuff about the law, but we don't really learn that much about day-to-day problems in specific businesses or specific industries. You have no clue. So the more I've learned about that, the more I've found that I'm really able to do a much better job helping my clients.
So if any of our listeners want to reach out, where can they find you?
They can reach me at www.esquivel-law.com. All my contact information is out there. My legal assistant has put us on social media, which makes me really uncomfortable because then I have to be far more forward-facing than I'm comfortable with because I am a tried and true introvert. So
it's totally understandable.
But all my contact information is on there. Email me, call me, tweet me, slide into my DMs. I'm on Facebook. Shoot me a message. All of the above.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Katie. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful being here. And, in preparing for this, I was listening to a lot of your episodes, and I have to say that I think that you two are so lucky to be practicing in this day and age. I was thinking about how when I first started doing this PACA work and I would go to federal court and women weren't, it was frowned upon, or you got the side eye if women wore pants to court. Like you were expected to wear a skirt suit with pantyhose. And it is so nice that those standards have changed, that we live in a much more progressive society. I will say I still am occasionally confused for a court reporter when I go to court with a rolling briefcase, which is now I just enjoy making that person feel stupid and archaic, because they are. You are practicing. It's a great time to be practicing. Try as much as you can try. Learn if you don't like something, do something different. You're at the point in your careers where you can try all kinds of different things. I never dreamed that I would be doing this. And when I talk to people, they're like, there's a law about that? I mean, I've literally had judges say, are you sure that law exists? Federal bankruptcy judges have asked me this. Things unfold the way they're supposed to, and just trust the journey and follow your heart and follow what works well with your personalities, your likes, your dislikes, your hobbies, and things will fall into place. They just have a way of doing that. I was terrified when I hung my own shingle. I had a 4-month-old baby. I was just terrified, and I feel so incredibly fortunate for what all of that has led to.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Katie.
Well, guys, I learned so much. I mean, it totally makes sense, right? Why this law exists. And I just kept thinking about, in contracts when we would talk about the buying and selling of goods. And this just totally wiped that away. This is, gave its own standing and how important statutes are and recognizing that they really dictate a lot of what happens day to day. What we learn in law school is just a good base level, but there's so much more that comes on top of that.
Yeah, and I think it's honestly so great to learn about these super narrow parts of the law. Like she said, it's like one little lane that you're in. There's so many others that are just like this, right? It seems like endless amount of laws. So for you guys who don't know what you want to do yet, if you're in law school still and you're like, I don't know what I want to do after law school, don't fret. There's probably something out there waiting for you that's exactly what you'll be good at.
100% agree. I mean, it's crazy the things that we hear about. And so many people start out in a very wide area doing litigation or transactional work, and then just slowly but surely find your way into, your area, your niche, your way to be. And I also really enjoyed her story of not only how she got to practice where she practiced, but also how literally she's practicing by owning her own firm, and, how that change came from when she had her son. I mean, I think that that's so real and something that I know is on my mind, and I'm sure many other young female attorneys' minds of what is my life going to look like when we start a family? What, even people with kids now, how am I navigating that? And, how nice it is to be able to go out and be your own boss, but all the heartache and problems and work that come with that too. It leaves you to think. So whenever I see someone who does it successfully, it's great to hear their story. And I'm so glad she shared that with us.
Yeah, and it seems like it's a not common trend, but definitely something we see a lot where people, as soon as they have children, they realize like the law firm experience is not necessarily conducive to women,
Yeah.
It's not like the place to be for a working mom. So that's another thing to bring light to, like what can we do to make law firms more habitable for working moms? And of course, it's awesome to go start your own firm. It's my goal. I know it's our goal one day to like do that, but also like not everyone can go just like start your own firm, at a drop of a hat. So definitely something to think about. And we'd love for you guys to send us your thoughts on, what can law firms do to keep moms in law firms?
Yes. Text us. This is a great time to text us and let us know. Also, maybe if your firm or someone you know or work for is doing something really revolutionary, let us know. We want to hear about it. I know I saw on Instagram the other day about a law firm having childcare at work, and I was like, booyah, that's amazing. If your firm does that, tell us, like, who are you guys and what made you guys decide to do that? It would be really cool to have someone on the podcast, to talk about that too. I know we get a lot of questions about what's it like to be a mom in law school, what's it like to be a mom as a baby associate, and so on. So again, if you guys have anyone that you would recommend, please shoot us their name so we can reach out to them.
Yes, and you guys know where to find us on Instagram at the Ladies Who Law Podcast. That's where we hang out the most. But like Haley said, definitely text us. We can't text you back, but it's a great way to get your ideas like right in our inbox and right in front of us so we can start talking about things that you guys want to listen to. But on that note, a lot of you guys are studying for the bar. I know that's coming up in like 2 weeks or so. So we're thinking of you, sending good vibes. For those of you preparing for your first semester of law school, check out our post. We have one where it kind of gives you some stuff that if you're just itching to do something, obviously you don't have to. We don't want you to like stress out about it. But if you're like one of those people that's like, I need to like do something with my time, like me, go check out that post and, maybe read one of the books or watch one of the movies. It's always fun.
Yes, yes. All right, guys. Well, we hope that you were enjoying your summer. Make sure and wear your SPF. Stay cool as you can. And again, bar exam takers, we are sending you all the good vibes and we love you. And we will talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.